And it's straight between the posts.
A Friday night of football. Friday's right for a Friday night of football.
The Newcastle Knights versus the Brisbane Broncos. Nine's Friday Night Football on the wide world of sports.
Welcome to Nine's Friday Night Football. What a day it has been in the history of rugby league. What a week it has been. If you haven't caught up with the news, the Bulldogs issued with a breach notice this afternoon, penalised 37 competition points and fined $500,000. And I think I speak on behalf of many rugby league fans. It's nice to be talking football again, that we have such an enormous match to kick off round 24 of the Telstra Premiership. The Newcastle Knights and the Brisbane Broncos. Peter Sterling, the Knights outfit.
And a chance for the Knights to leapfrog the Brisbane Broncos on the competition ladder. Have Kurt Gidley at fullback, Morris and Quinn the wingers, Matt Gidley and Tahu the centre pairing, Rudder at 5'8", Johns the halfback and captain. Daniel Abraham comes into the side to lock the scrum behind Simpson, Kennedy, Perry, Parsons. Billy Peden goes to hooker, and off the bench, Woolnough, Newton, Bailey, O'Doherty. Their coach, Michael Harrigan.
And a very strong Broncos outfit tonight. Darren Lockyer is the fullback, Takiri and Chris Walker on the wings, Tate and DeVere in the centres, Sean Berrigan the 5'8", Seymour the halfback, Carlaw lock forward, Tallis and Webb, very powerful back rowers, Webke, Sivanasiva the prop, Shane Walker the hooker, interchange of Parker, Myers, Lee and Andrew G, coached by Wayne Bennett.
If we do leave the Bulldogs drama behind us, we do look at such a big game. The Broncos coming off 2 straight defeats, just 3 weeks out from the finals, against a Newcastle Knights side that over the years they've had plenty of success against. The Knights winning only 5 of 21, and all 5 of those wins have been here in Newcastle. And the Broncos, 7 wins at this ground, although some poor memories of when they came south last year. They were beaten by 44 points to 0 at this ground. Can't see that happening tonight, not with so much at stake. The 2 captains, of course, who went head-to-head in this year's Origin series. It has been billed again. There's that little Origin sidelight. Andrew Johns against Gordon Tallis. The 2 men leading their respective teams. The ground not quite at capacity, but all the same, very big, upwards of 20,000. Cold and windy night in Newcastle. There's been some passing showers in the afternoon. And here come the Brisbane Broncos. Gordon Tallis takes them out, followed out by Darren Lockyer. And there is some support for the Broncos among the Newcastle crowd too. Beaten by the Warriors last week. That came on the back of a loss to the Roosters. Be hard to imagine Brisbane losing 3 straight games so close to the playoffs after such a good year. Michael DeVere will have the goal-kicking duties again tonight. Brisbane should have the advantage of the breeze in the first half. But a guard of honour is there for the Newcastle Knights on their run out. They celebrate 15 years in the Premiership. Many of the former stars of years gone by that have played with this Newcastle club are there to greet the 2002 team. Paul Harrigan has sideline duties tonight. Back in 1988, he was a wing or centre with the Newcastle Knights. Chief, good evening.
I think I was wing, and it was a big match. We are commemorating our 15th year. You can see the boys are wearing the jumpers that we wore back there in 1988. Just got to say, there's over 100 of the old boys from the original Knights teams through the years to usher the boys out. It's a special night, that's for sure. Now, Billy Peden is playing his last game for the Newcastle Knights. We love Billy down here. He's been a real stalwart, so a big crowd out for him. Got to say, very cold conditions down here. It's 9 degrees, and there is a chance of rain, so we might get a little bit wet later on.
Newcastle coming off a win over the Eagles. Bill Harrigan back with a #1 game. Brisbane just standing by for a start now.
All set, stay behind.
And round 24 is underway. One of the clashes of the season, the Knights and the Broncos. In Brisbane, with Shane Webke. Test an Origin front rower. Confronted by some bruising defence from Parsons first up and Simpson, and now it is Sivanasiva. Taken by Peden. Playing hooker tonight. Carlaw gets them up to the 40-metre line.
And Andrew, just having a look now, there has been a late reshuffle in the Brisbane side. That man with the football, Brad Myers, actually starting the game. Carl Webb back to the bench.
5 inside their own half, and they will kick for the first time tonight with Seymour. In only his 7th game of first grade, it is a deep kick with a breeze at his back and will go over the dead ball line. So Newcastle will walk back to the 20-metre line. These sides, of course, clashed earlier this year. Round 7 it was at ANZ. A bruising encounter from memory. 18-12, the Broncos emerged winners, but it was a game that Newcastle opened on fire, led 10-0 after 16 minutes. They would love a start like that tonight. And they work left side. That is Abraham into the starting lineup with Badeiras on the injured list. And now with Perry. Young front rower back to the 40-metre line. Peden for Johns, and they work right with Simpson. And well met by the Broncos defence. Of course, no Casey Maguire tonight in this Broncos lineup. Sean Berrigan with a number 6 again on his back. And that is the last tackle for the Knights. And Johns will kick from 45 away from the Brisbane line. A good first set from the Knights. That one doesn't bounce kindly. And it's tit for tat. Now Brisbane will have the 20-metre restart.
Can't go yet. Can't go yet.
And the kicking game of Andrew Johns would have been one of the major concerns for Brisbane coming into this match. He tends to reserve his best for Friday nights here at EnergyAustralia. Plenty of variety and a busy night for the back three for the Broncos.
That's 2 now, Ben. Let him go. Let go.
And now Walker just outside their 30. Seymour delivered the pass for Sivanasiva. Hit front on there by Parsons and Peden. Simpson there as well. Now with Berrigan. Running back to centre field. And I'm sure he is happy to have that number 6 shirt on his back. He's very much a reluctant hooker in this Brisbane side. Lockyer's kick. And all the chasers onside the call from Harrigan. So there's pressure here on the Newcastle Knights. And young Quinn tackled on the 10-metre line. Kurt Gidley fills in at fullback tonight. And this is John Morris. So there's some real youngsters in this 3-quarter line. Matthew Gidley, of course, the veteran. Andrew Johns takes them on to the 30-metre line. He was the star of that game last year here in Newcastle. He set up 6 tries, scored 2 and kicked half a dozen goals. You don't get much better than that.
That's 4 now, fellas. Please have a look. Come back to me.
Away for Rudder. Able to run up at the line. Bill Harrigan had played an advantage. He got the Broncos for offside. Early chance to attack inside Broncos territory.
And that was fairly late in the tackle count too, so it's well received by the home side, who've got wonderful balance out there tonight with Ben Kennedy in the starting lineup. Simpson will play to the right-hand side. Kennedy, who played 50 minutes last week, operating on the left.
Go, mate. I'm into that white line
The
there.
opportunity.
Where you are, Billy.
25 metres out and Peden on the restart for Simpson to take the first hit up. And confronted there by Shane Walker. But on the Broncos 20-metre line. And they come infield with Perry. And he is all fired up tonight, Josh Perry. Peden. And followed up by his front row partner. This is Parsons. Only 5 away from the line. Some heavy strapping on the thighs. He's had a lot of quadricep trouble. Rudder delivers a pass. And the Knights are over with Abraham. An early strike from the Newcastle Knights inside the first 5, and it is 4 points to 0.
And they never had that side covered, the Brisbane Broncos. They were screaming on that side to get players there. Goes to the left-hand side as we freeze it there. That's the play that's going to come through, but really the men on the outside are selling to those players. As play continues, Brisbane expecting the wide ball. In fact, it goes to the short man. They were looking at Kennedy. It went to Abraham.
Yeah, strong running. This was all set up by some great running from, first of all, Josh Perry, then Matt Parsons. They made them 30 metres, got the Brisbane defence going backwards. Quick play the ball by Parsons, outnumbered, and some strong running as well from Abraham. Good ball, wasn't it? Not well read at all by the Brisbane defence. Darren Lockyer was there. That was good fullback play from him. But he couldn't control a rampaging Abraham.
And Andrew, you talk about Sean Berrigan being happy to be back in the number 6 jersey. I would imagine the same applies to Rudder. Sean Rudder at 5'8" for Newcastle was pushed back onto the bench for the last couple of weeks with Kurt Gidley going to the pivot spot.
Points into the breeze for Newcastle. 10 in from touch. 20 metres out. Andrew Johns, perfect. Newcastle. They make the start in Nine's Friday night football. It is 6-0. Back with a restart, and it is Michael De Vere, an early shake-up for Brisbane. De Vere opting for the high kick-off, and Abraham, the try-scorer, comes back. Newcastle, of course, tonight, Ben Kennedy playing his second match of a comeback. Played 50 minutes last week against the Eagles. Only his 7th game this year. Perry, was he stripped in the tackle? Harrigan says lost. It will be a Broncos scrum feed.
The referee was in perfect position to rule on this, and I think that's fair enough. I think the man whose hand actually touched the football was going in to make the tackle in the shape of Shane Webke.
Get right inside, legs back, box behind, fine. Stay now.
Seymour standing at 5'8", and Lockyer. Lovely touch as he went straight through the attempted tackle of Gidley. Blindside now with Webke. Front rowers have started this game at 100 miles an hour. Walker. Sivanasiva, where one front rower does a hit up, and the other will follow. It's been the case with Newcastle, so too with Brisbane. Only 5 away. Walker for Berrigan as first receiver. Forced to go back infield, jolted by the tackle of Perry.
On the line.
And Parsons and Peden there as well. Now Walker. Left with Lockyer. Delivers the pass there for Tate. The second man play comes undone. And it goes over the sideline.
That was a good play there from Brisbane. But the ball just didn't find its mark. It hit the right shoulder of Tate and went astray. To win this game tonight, the Brisbane Broncos have to overcome a very tenacious Newcastle defence. Last week, this Knights team only missed 12 tackles against the Eagles. That's a great record. Whilst Brisbane last week missed 35 in their defeat at the hands of the New Zealand Warriors.
As that scrum packed down, Andrew Johns alerted the referee that they were 1 short in the scrum, the Broncos. Dane Carlaw was standing out in the defensive line. They had only 5 in the scrum, so Joey's well and truly wired into the match early, aware of everything that's going on out there. Newcastle 25 away from their line, and Rudder, who served up the pass for the first try, long ball from Johns. And now Morris is wrapped up. Mr. Fix-It in the Newcastle Knights side. He can play anywhere. Johns infield with Simpson. He renews his origin battle from earlier this year. Andrew Johns on the last tackle. Able to beat one and find space with his kick. And Chris Walker gets his first touch for the night. Away, both these teams. There are players that have admitted to being jaded after the representative period this year, and in fact win-loss stats are identical for the two clubs. They have won 5 of 8 games since the end of the origin period. It was Webke. And I mentioned Broncos coming off 2 losses, but Newcastle on a bit of a win-loss sequence at the moment. They haven't won back-to-back games since round 16 and 17. And Seymour pushes wide, and this is De Vere on the last tackle, 40 away from the Newcastle line. Win-loss sequence. The Knights are due for a loss tonight. Lockyer's high ball. There was some interference for Tallis, who was chasing through. He misses the tackle there on Morris.
That was a very difficult take there from John Morris. He handled it well. And Andrew, I think there's still a bit of residue from the Newcastle defeat a fortnight ago, that embarrassing afternoon at Toyota. They might have got the Eagles last week, but I still think that's in the back of their mind, that they have something to prove against the very top sides.
The ball is Peden. And for Andrew Johns, attacking that short side. But caught in possession. And short of halfway, Peden again dummy half. Of course, he did play hooker, a start hooker in the 97 grand final. Possession weighted towards Newcastle early in this game. As was mentioned, running into the breeze in the first half. The Johns kick asks a question of the Broncos defence. Walker pushes the pass back for Lockyer. Says, here you go. And now Walker Darting out of dummy half.
I don't know that
Look for me again.
Darren Lockyer called for this, but Walker was hounded. And then Darren Lockyer looked up. There was 5 Newcastle Knights in front of him. And now a mistake made by the Broncos, and Simpson nearly gets through.
It was Myers who lost it. And Simpson wrapped up 20 away from the line. Johns left with Peden. Knights fans would love him to get a try on the last night of regular season matches at the home ground. Kennedy out of dummy half and tackled just a metre short.
Stay on it, stay on it.
Peden at dummy half. On the bounce to Johns. Wide then for Rudder. He has runners on the outside. It is Gidley. Takiri was forced to come in from his wing to make the tackle with Tate. They will work back left again now with Johns, and an inside ball for Kurt Gidley. And the Knights are still only 5 metres from the line. All the pressure on Brisbane early. And so far they have cracked once. Andrew Johns kicks for the wing of Chris Walker. Walker's got the catch on it, does extremely well there for Brisbane. There were 3 Knights coming through. And Walker all on his lonesome. Wasn't a particularly high kick from Andrew Johns, but enough all the same to put pressure on Walker.
We are Newcastle, Billy.
Here is Sivanasiva.
Oh, let him
Big
up
effort
now,
against the
Chris.
Warriors last week. Plenty of hit-ups, plenty of tackles. Myers.
It was one of those games that Wayne Bennett would have been very happy with the effort and commitment of his team.
Don't go early.
The execution at times let them down. A lot of drop ball in their opponents, 20 metres. Really took the pressure valve off as Darren Lockyer kicks towards the far wing. Again, very well taken by Anthony Quinn.
Clean up now, 1 mix.
Spiraling kick that was swirling about, and Kennedy counter-attack from the Newcastle Knights with Tahu. His first touch of the football in this game, and there is no stopping Tamana Tahu. He's averaging more than a try a game this season. He sends out the message, he's going to keep it going. What a start from the Knights, 10-0.
Yeah, great hit back, good vision there, and Tamana Tahu, I think, will join Nigel Vungana as the leading try scorer in the competition with that one. If we freeze it there, you can see that the Knights have gone the far side. Now they've got 3 players up against just 2 defenders for the Brisbane side. And as play continues, have a look at the work here from Kennedy. Catch and pass. He knows there's an overlap. Tahu, he's got great speed. He's a wonderful athlete. Up against the speedster in Darren Lockyer, but he had enough of a head start to run 40 or 50 metres to get their second.
That's the second or third time they've had a crack down that short side tonight. And third time lucky. Tahu's a great player. He can sniff out an opportunity. He knew there'd be space there. And too quick for Lockyer.
Well, he holds the club record of tries in a season. That was 2 seasons ago with 20. And his tally is now 18 for this year. And Johns a little closer to the post this time. His first kick could not have been any better. This one from 19 out and 15 in from touch. And again, Johns is bang on target. The Knights, they're cheering, and they are cheering loud at 12 points to 0 in Nine's Friday night football. 15 minutes gone. And as was the case when these 2 sides clashed back in round 7, Newcastle make the start. They led that night by 10 points to 0 after 16. Tonight after 15, they lead by 12.
Straight, Petro, straight up.
Johns for Perry. And Perry taken sideways in the tackle. But his work has been exceptional tonight. There you have it again. Perry takes the first hit up. Parsons that time handled well by the defence. But they are laying the platform. Rudder for Simpson. Rushed away from one for Gidley. There's the around the back pass there for Morris.
Hold! Ball!
5 metres inside the Newcastle half. And Takiri a little slow to release. For Sean Rudder and Andrew Johns, very flat ball to halfway, and that is tackle number 5 for the Knights.
Get him up quick, Shane. Hands off him.
Kurt Gidley, and it is Rudder who kicks. Takes a bit of pressure off Andrew Johns, and Rudder's kick is well placed. It is also well weighted with Lockyer from his own goal line. 5 Newcastle defenders in a line there.
That was very well worked by Newcastle as we see Andrew G preparing to come into battle. taking, as Andrew pointed out, pressure away from Andrew Johns. Must be a little bit of deja vu for the Brisbane side tonight. After playing the Warriors last week, they're up against a similar side who love to throw the football around and can get offloads away in seemingly impossible positions.
Myers to the bench, the first change for the night with G out there. Here is Brent Tate. They're on their own 40-metre line, Brisbane, and he has lost it. And the ball ends up forward about 3 or 4 metres from where he intended. And Bill Harrigan has ruled a scrum. And young Brent is most displeased.
Well, he's blowing up about Billy Peden, who still had a hand on him. But, for mine was no excuse for a very poor play the ball.
It's a great position to attack for Newcastle. 40 out, scrum win. Johns goes blind with Gidley. And Gidley puts the step on Tate. He's winning the battle early. Matt Gidley, quite decisive too. Parsons. Newcastle tonight without a try. Maybe tonight for Big Mac. Andrew Johns. Steve Simpson. Brush through the tackle of Sivanasiva. And again, it is Brisbane put to the test. They have failed 2 examinations so far. The switch of play from Johns for Gidley. Right arm is free for Morris. Morris almost away from Takiri. The cavalry come in to help their winger. Right on the goal line. Beaten at dummy half. Andrew Johns had to rush forward to take it. There's an overlap. Rudder. Then Gidley. Knocked down by Walker. He saved a try. Chris Walker, in fact, not played at. It's play on for Brisbane. Can't argue with that. That's a huge play from Chris Walker. And they come away from their own 20. Just a question mark on whether Walker played at the ball or just the man.
Both Brisbane wingers tonight have had to make important decisions as to when to come in to try and snuff out a developing overlap. And I think Andrew John's eyes will have lit up on those occasions because he realised there are opportunities with that long pass.
Josh Perry.
Shane Walker for Lockyer. Now they run it. This is the last tackle. Seymour away. De Veer's down that right wing. Decides to chip Quinn. It's long off the boot. And Gidley, oh, that is cool at the back. He will have the restart at the 20.
Exciting play there from the Broncos. Had a crack on the 5th tackle. Found the overlap. Nice pass. And De Veer put the speed on. And he sent a kick with support, steaming through, but the wind got hold of it, and Gidley positioned himself beautifully.
Robbie Davis still with that groin injury. Upending tackle there. Thanks for coming infield, Anthony Quinn from Shane Webke. Matt Parsons. Davis a groin injury. Sideline again this week. Big run there from Parsons. They roll forward, the Newcastle Knights. Gidley like a jackrabbit from dummy half for Abraham. 30 away is where he will play it. They've had the better field position, the Newcastle Knights, and they lead by 12 points to 0. Last tackle, and Johns is the man who will play it. And Peden takes it upon himself to come up with something. It wasn't all that flash, and Walker is the man with the ball. We've seen plenty of work tonight, Chris Walker. And there is some bone-jarring defence again from the Knights.
Paul Harrigan, always very important to start well against Brisbane. You'd be impressed with the opening 20 as we see Brisbane go wide against Newcastle. The opening quarter of this game from the Knights so far.
Yeah, I don't think it'd be any better 20 minutes. I've got to give a rap to the front rowers. It's obvious that they're really setting the platform. I've got to say for the Broncos, 20 minutes into it, they've really got to lift their act. Now, I'm not saying that the forwards have been overshadowed, the Bronco forwards, in their last 2 losses. But if I was them, I think they've really got to lift the ante up a bit more physical. They have got the breeze up their back, so they've got to make a bit more of a most of it while they've got the chance in this first half.
G gave the pass there for young Seymour. As Adam Woolnough gets ready to come on. No doubt replace one of the front rowers, be it Perry or Parsons. Deep kick from the Broncos. Morris has got it covered. In fact, he may not have to play it at all. He won't. And not for the first time in the match. Newcastle will have a 20-metre restart. In fact, I think it's the 3rd by my count for them. And it is Woolnough who takes the hit up. And replaced was Parsons. Peden. Strong run. Got away from Andrew G. Peden, who made his first grade debut in 1994 for this club. He will finish up this season. He's got a couple of premierships to reflect on in retirement if he doesn't secure a contract in England. Woolnow slips it out the back. Good work with Simpson. And Simpson does likewise now for Gidley. Brisbane's defence just a little rattled here. 2 away. Peden for Johns. Cut-out ball, cut 2 out to Matthew Gidley. Well, that was on the spur of the moment, the kick through. Lockyer fields it. Not his best player tonight, Matt Gidley. Now ready to Keary. The Broncos down by 12. Wemke. Good metres. From the number 1 prop, Shane Walker. And then Berrigan. There's the halfway line, you can see. It's more for the Broncos cause. Newcastle's completion rate tonight, close to 100%. Makes it pretty tough. Last tackle here. G found himself a dummy half. And this kick from Seymour is high again, but they're diffusing everything. John Morris for Kurt Gidley, and they grow in confidence, the youngsters at the back.
And making very few mistakes the home side, and that is denying the Brisbane team consecutive sets of 6. And they're just working the football out from their own end. Unfortunately for Brisbane, by the last tackle, they're only around 40 or 50 metres away from their opponent's line.
Just over 20, the 3 men at the back for Newcastle. Morris, Kurt Gidley, and Anthony Quinn. Andrew Johns, crowd not happy with the 10 metres at the moment. Perry, another great hit up and offload this time. Woolnow shows his speed. Gets inside the 30. Last tackle, 25 away. Andrew Johns, again taken out of the play for the last in the set. Kurt Gidley for Kennedy. Bats it back there for Kurt Gidley. Still the last tackle. Gidley is able to slip it out the side, but that will count as a knock-on, and it will be a changeover.
And a few of the Broncos players with hands on hips have had to defend quite a lot in this opening 25 minutes and not handling it too well. There are plenty of holes there for the Knights to run through. Woolnow picked the ball up then and had fresh air in front of him, made a nice 20-metre burst.
Goes with Seymour, the dummy half, and Andrew G. Intents and purposes Brisbane tonight playing the move to the top of the table. The Bulldogs not automatically deducted of their points with that breach notice handed out today. Should they lose the points and Brisbane win tonight, chance to leapfrog the Warriors, pending what happens on Sunday when the Warriors take on the Roosters. But positions within the top 4 very much alive if the Bulldogs are eliminated. And Lockyer. Inside ball, well, there was an early tackle there from Matt Gidley. There would be times in a match where that's the case for the sin bin, but not in the 24th minute.
This is one of Brisbane's pet plays, is the Lockyer inside ball to a flying Chris Walker, and they know that the Knights. Michael Hagan's done his homework. He's instructed his players to cover it at all times, and Gidley on that occasion fraction too early with his tackle.
There'll be a caution here for a late tackle from Josh Perry on Lockyer.
Let's just listen to the report.
He's just off the ball, isn't it? He's definitely hit him late off the ball.
Yep.
Okay, we'll just chat.
Okay. If he gets rid of the ball, don't come into it, and also a little bit quicker in the play the balls right away. Right.
Well, this is the consecutive set that I was talking about that Brisbane were waiting for. Inside the 30. This is where they're dangerous. Keep an eye on Tallis and Lockyer on the fringes.
Simonasiva takes the first hit up. Inside the Knights 20. And with Walker, it is Shane and Andrew G. Big first receiver there for Philip Lee. Only 10 away from the line. G again a dummy half. Working right with Seymour. Decides to have a go himself. And uses what there is in his frame to try and bust through the tackle of Woolnow and Kennedy. G again his first receiver. Berrigan. Berrigan decides to run back towards the posts. Keeps it alive for Lee. Newcastle defence waits. It was Andrew Johns, their captain. Shane Walker. I was thinking Andrew G would take a 4th player's first receiver. He's there again if they go left. They go right. And it is Lockyer trying to put his stamp on it and flung to ground in the tackle of Abraham. It's good stuff from Newcastle. It's better than that. It's outstanding.
It's great defence, and that's what you've got to come up with against the Brisbane side. The reason you didn't see Gordon Tallis feature in that set of 6, I've looked down at the bench, and for the second week in a row, he's out of the action after about 20 minutes. Again, somewhat surprising.
And right at the moment, Shane Webke also on that bench. There's Newcastle back to their 20. Tallis there alongside Myers. Parker is to his feet now, ready to come on. Simpson delivers a pass for Andrew Johns. The flick out the back to Kurt Gidley. One-handed, Kurt Gidley. Almost the intercept for Walker. And it will be a knock-on against Brisbane. But Newcastle, that was straight down the centre. It has to be a worry for coach Wayne Bennett. Down 12 points to 0. Let's go to the sideline. Paul Harrigan.
Yeah, you've got to say the Broncos forwards are on the bench now. They look a little bit tired out there. And I remember last year they lost 6 games in a row around about this time, and it's probably due to their large workload. It's an important game tonight, of course. Now the Broncos are around that first position. They are fighting for second spot, so it's a big game. They do need to lift their act a little bit.
Yeah, they get a little restless in this scrum.
You two, come up with them. Don't come up with them. Pack over the arms over the top, hookers. Let's go.
Backward steps from Josh Perry tonight. Andrew Johns has just copped one there as he was trying to feed the scrum. Perry thought about going on with it there. But Newcastle in possession, a wise decision not to go on with it. Gidley for Simpson. And is made again for the Test and Origin back rower. Beaten out of dummy half. Oldest member of this side, he ran like a teenager there. Rudder, Andrew Johns. They can smell points here, the Knights. Abraham wrapped up. Coming away with Kurt Gidley for Andrew Johns. Short pass that time for Woolno. Confident youngster. 10 out from the line. Andrew Johns kicking early. Ball was there for Peden, and somehow snatched out of the air and then lost. Well, here's a decision for Bill Harrigan. Andrew Johns is going to claim that he scored the try. I think it may have been Berrigan who was desperately trying to keep the ball in the field of play.
Yeah, well, Berrigan's grabbed this grubber kick from Andrew Johns. Then he's been hammered and forced back by Josh Perry. And in trying to keep the ball in play, he might have let the ball go. And Andrew Johns has dived on it. See, he's desperate. He's being pulled into the in goal. He's trying to keep the ball in play. Does he let it go? Or is that a steal? He still had a fingertip on it for mine. And that's what they're looking at.
Well, that's all it is. It's a fingertip.
He's desperate. It's a fingernail he's got on it. Look, it's out of his hand, out of his grasp, and then he lets it go. But then who forces it first? Darren Lockie's there, along with Andrew Johns.
And my initial reaction is no try.
They're going to give it a try, I think. I think they're going to say that Johns and Lockyer is simultaneous on the put down. I don't think we've ever had one like this before. Wayne Bennett, well, we've got a smile out of Wayne. The crowd booed when he came up on the big screen. I think they're going to cheer in a moment, because they might find themselves with their third 4-pointer of the match. Stand by for a big decision here. At EnergyAustralia Stadium, the Knights, their third try of the night, and it will go next to the name of the captain. 16-0.
And it's quite bizarre, isn't it? You just keep seeing new things in the game of rugby league. I have not seen this before. The kick was a danger one. It was well taken by Sean Berrigan. Sean Rudder scores if he does miss it. Now, I thought that he actually had a finger on it. Now, whether that means you got control of the football, I don't know. If it does, it means that it was a steal. But it's not ruled that way.
Yeah, the bottom line is, though, this is poor ball security. I know he was desperate, trying to stay in the field of play, but you've got to tuck that ball under your wing. And if it means a drop out, well, that's what it's going to be. But he's let it go, and there's the conversion.
And Johns has kicked 3 out of 3. He's already got 10 points for the night. And at Nine's Friday Night Football, it is 18-0 to the Newcastle Knights. 29 minutes gone and a shock scoreline. And a deep kick-off here. It has gone over the dead ball line by 5 metres. It will be a penalty to the Newcastle Knights at the centre of halfway. 18-0, running with a breeze at their backs. And it's unravelling here for Brisbane as they stare down the barrel of 3 straight losses. This will really test their character. They have shown plenty of that on many occasions so far this season. They will need to tonight with Simpson. It's in away. Slow play the ball. Peter in a dummy half. Andrew Johns for Rudder, and Johns again, and wide with Gidley, who came across from the right side of the field to get involved. And Brisbane already have made 5 interchanges in this match. Andrew Johns, a dummy to Perry. He links up there with Woolno. It is relentless from the front rowers for Newcastle.
Numbers this way if they can get it wide, Andrew.
Peden for Johns. That's the way they come. Bullet-like pass from Johns. Wrap around with Simpson. Then inside for Morris. Morris twists out of 1 tackle. And held up now by 3 Broncos. Last tackle. In that southwestern corner. As Johns threads the kick. High bounce over Lockyer. Ball will go over the dead ball line. It is high pressure stuff from Newcastle.
Well, they're playing beautifully, Newcastle, and there's the maestro wielding his magic again tonight, controlling the play. He's in everything.
Yeah, let him go.
Lots of missed tackles so far by the Broncos.
And that is the count that Fatty refers to, 15-2. Webb, so halfway for Brisbane. Need of points at 18-0. Final 10 of this first half. Tallis back out there. Able to keep it alive. That ball's been lost by Berrigan. 1-on-1 tackle. Tackle count will restart. He regathered in the Rudder tackle. Harrigan got that one right. Philip Lee, back to 25 away. Andrew G. To the right with Lockyer. Oh, Tallis, they saw him coming. He bounced away from Perry. Delivered the pass there for Seymour. This will be a Broncos try, or did he lose it? Brett Seymour only had to force the ball. And again, we'll go off to the video referee. I don't think it'll be as close as the previous decision.
That's a beautiful short ball from Gordon Tallis. Now he's just got to bang this one down.
I got no dramas with that. I think it's a try.
Yep, I agree.
For the Knights in jersey 10.
I agree, Andrew.
I don't know.
Well, take the high bounce of the ball out and just have a look whether he gets downward pressure with the hand. I've got no doubt that he's done all that is necessary. There, that's a try.
I tend to go the other way a little, but yeah, I've got to go the other way now.
In actual fact, in looking at it again, his elbows hit the ground. When his elbows hit the ground first, I think he's lost the ball and it's come loose.
The palm of his hand more or less ends up on the side of the ball.
Well, I'm staying out of them now anyway. I'm just going to wait until the light comes up.
Oh, never in doubt.
Chris Ward says try. Broncos are on the board with Brett Seymour. It is 18 points to 4.
And here's the 6 again for the Brisbane side, and the referee did get that exactly right. Sean Rudder did push the football out, and then a fairly soft try. I think Newcastle will feel they basically clocked off there a little bit, reacted too late. Kennedy looking at Woolno. Kurt Gidley, a valiant attempt, but Seymour did very well to get his second in the top grade.
Oh boy, did they need that. I don't think Brett Seymour was sure, Fatty, that he'd got the 4-pointer.
No. It hasn't been a great first half for the Broncos. Newcastle, they defended so well. They've attacked a lot better than the Broncos have. And I think that's probably the first time the Broncos have been down inside the opposing 20. They made the most of it.
It's maybe a little early to mention round 20 against the Bulldogs, but on that occasion Newcastle did lead 19-0 and got run down. De Veer's first kick of the night, 15 in from touch, 20 metres out, and Michael De Veer misses. 14 points, the margin in this first half. 7 out from half-time. Nines, Friday night football. Paul Harrigan sideline.
Yeah, this is a type of effort we're going to see more of with Gordon Tallis. He just come off the bench after having rest. He's been on there about a minute. He had 2 or 3 runs, really flexed his willpower and got the team going there. A good try for the youngster. But the forwards of the Broncos have got to lead or get the example by Gordon Tallis and lift their intensity a lot more.
Andrew Jones, the restart here. Yep. Customary high kick. And Brisbane with Andrew G. Having posted their first points now. The double strike before half-time would erase much of the disappointment of the first 30 minutes. It was Newcastle on a roll that was proving very hard to stop. And Dane Carlaw playing at 15 inside his own half. Philip Lee, one of the success stories for Brisbane this year, hasn't missed a game after the wretched past 2 seasons where he barely played a game. 2 knee reconstructions. Berrigan's kick to the corner. Kurt Gidley's work tonight has been very sharp. And he returns that time almost back to the 20. Minutes with Quinn. Infield, and Webb gets a good shot in there, Carl Webb. Didn't start the match. Myers was there in the run-on. Parsons is back out there, delivered a pass there that was put down by Morris. Well, here is a chance for Brisbane. Knock on, 30 metres out from their own line. The Newcastle Knights will have to defend.
Well, I do think there has been an increase in the enthusiasm for the Brisbane side with their bench players getting involved. Corey Parker, Phil Lee, Gordon Tallis was off after 20 after a very quiet opening. And he's starting to lift the side as well. They're getting back into the contest.
Lottie Dakiri was close to the action from that scrum. Tate for Parker. And Parker on the spin, got it back for Philip Lee. Keeping the ball alive for Carlaw. He does same for Lee, and then back for Walker, and now for Seymour, their try scorer. And Seymour spreads it for Lockyer. Needed his inside man, couldn't find Tate. More or less, Tate couldn't find Lockyer. Takiri for Seymour. Then for Tallis. Takes them on, 10 out. One was low in the tackle and did well. Lee. 18 points to 4 to the Knights. And Berrigan, was there a shepherd there? Berrigan on his hands and knees is 9 metres out, forced to play it. It was a quick play the ball too. Seymour with a little bit of extravagant play close to the line. Found Parker, now the last tackle. Seymour in position to take the pass, then Tallis. They've kept it alive. Lockyer makes a meal of it. It's still play on, 25 metres out. Tate did well to get back and support him. Now Tate kicks. Good play from Brisbane, but back comes Ben Kennedy. Unusual passage of play. And with Kurt Gidley. For the Knights, Ben Kennedy has eased himself through this first half. Only 4 touches, 9 tackles. He had a hand in one of the tries down that left side. Kurt Gidley wide, put down by his brother. It'll be play on.
Newcastle just starting to make a few errors at the wrong end of the field. They were tremendous in that area for the first 25 minutes, but in the last 10, they're starting to invite the opposition back into this game. Strong tackle there on Clint Newton. It is the last.
Newton and Doherty out there, and Johns has gone for the long-range field goal, just a little off the side of the boot. It goes over the dead ball line. Paul Harrigan on the sideline. Last time we saw a field goal before half-time from the Knights was that match against the Bulldogs round 20 to take them to a 19-0 lead, and of course they were run down right on the post.
That's exactly right. That's the point I want to make. A really important time for the Newcastle Knights at half-time, because they've been in a situation too many times where they've had the perfect first half like they've had at the moment, and you can just tell this last 2 or 3 minutes are starting to fall away a little bit. So at half-time, important for the Knights to come out and start well again.
For them, as they will have the advantage of this breeze in the second half. And with Lee infield for G. And Tallis. And a long ball there for Takiri. Takiri's little grubber kick. Takes it a second time on the toe. Lockyer's getting through. Kurt Gidley's lost it. Chance here for Brisbane, but Matthew Gidley is back there. The brothers, they save the Knights.
Yeah, some exciting play. I thought that Darren Lockyer was half play taken out there. A Newcastle player jumped on his back. It's a beautiful ball, and Takiri puts it on the toe, and then again, and Just keep an eye on Lockyer. Does he get taken out by Gidley?
Suggest he hopped on his back. I suppose that constitutes a tackle. Eagle Eye Vorton. Parsons tackled 15 metres short of halfway. This is tackle 5. They've laboured a little in this set to try and get out of trouble. The short kick from Johns. Rudder coming through. Seymour can't clean up. Play on with Lockyer. Well, how did he do that? And how's he doing this? He's back over halfway.
That's impossible. What he did there was absolutely incredible. The bravery and the skill.
And Tate.
And it is so like Newcastle when a long kick is needed to come up with the short one. They continue to attack, but is it going to backfire in the final minute and a half?
They're 30 metres out. That is where Carl Webb will play it. Lee, they work that short side. Seymour, Walker may have been just a metre offside. Gidley goes back and beats them all. And yes, he has called Walker offside. That was my impression live, and I'll correct myself, not a metre, maybe just half a metre offside.
Yeah, when you put in attacking kicks like that, it's up to the men on the outside to really time their runs. And he was a metre offside.
Don't forget, after the game, you can join the players for a clip.
And it's a waste of a play.
Listen to the coaches and the players as they review the game and present the players.
In the end, it's the difference between line dropout or Newcastle penalty in the final minute of this first half. Brisbane, if he was ruled onside, would have been fielding a line dropout and would have had a few tackles at the Newcastle line. Now the Knights will just look to play out time with Woolmo. This is Parsons. Getting them head on, 3 in the tackle. Parker went low, but it still took 2 over the top. O'Doherty.
3.
Come on, he's playing the dummy half roll. Jared O'Doherty. Now we've got some punches thrown from Carl Webb, and he can throw them. A junior boxing champion in Queensland. And I think he got a few scoring punches in there. And Jared O'Doherty's got no idea what's going on. This is right on half-time. There is 0 time left on the clock.
Give him a penalty in Newcastle for this. Like we're throwing punches unless you can change it around. It stays the same way.
Gets Carl Webb angry.
I don't know why you're giving him a smack in the goal. I'm just going to put that hole, Lily. Andrew.
Well, I don't know.
No, it just appeared as though O'Doherty was trying to get to his feet to play the football. Look as though anything untoward coming from the number 18.
Well, I heard an elbow mentioned by one of the players out there.
So who did what in there? So you throw punches while the bloke's on the deck, the penalty's against you.
Well, I assume Carl Webb's on report for punching, or is he on? Is the incident of Jared O'Doherty on report? It's the elbow, perhaps it's on report.
There's the elbow, and no wonder he started throwing punches. Mind you, nearly put his fist through to China. He missed his head, hit the ground 3 times.
Interesting, you can put a bloke on report for punching. Andrew Johns kicked downfield. This is going to bounce awkwardly for Brisbane. Newcastle come up with the ball. They were hoping there was a winger there. He was back in field. That's the last play of the half. Newcastle attack right to the end, no matter what the scoreline. And it is a scoreline they can be most happy with. This round 24 clash on an extraordinary day for rugby league. Newcastle, courtesy of 3 tries to 1 in the first half. Go to the break on Nine's Friday Night Football, leading by 18 points to 4. Back shortly.
It is an offence to bring into or remove from EnergyAustralia Stadium.
Back to EnergyAustralia Stadium, Nine's Friday Night Football, 18 points to 4. This game is alive. Brisbane scoring. The last try of the first half having found themselves 18-0 down. The momentum was definitely with the Broncos going to half-time. And Newcastle, you can't help but think that the players' minds would have wandered ever so slightly at half-time to that match against the Bulldogs just on a month ago where they led 19-0. I'm sure Brisbane thought about it.
And And as our BB possession flow chart shows, it's always advantageous to have more possession than your opponents when they are the Brisbane Broncos. 22 potential sets of 6. Very good start. Look at the tall red columns all the way through to an Andrew Johns kick. Then they came up with a couple of errors here. Not a great area through there despite the try. And then they finished fairly strongly. 17 from 22 with a lot of red columns is very, very good. Now for Brisbane, not a lot of ball early. See a couple of mistakes. That was their best period, but at that stage they were still coming off their own line, so it wasn't in attacking positions. And then not a great end to the first half as well, again, despite that try. 3 black columns there up against 4 where they haven't made a mistake.
Ready then for the second half. Will Harrigan blows time on. Game 1 of round 24, just 3 weeks away from the playoffs and 2 of the big guns. Head to head. The Knights start their second half 14 points in front. Some interesting involvement from some of their players in that first half. Thinking back from the first 40, that man on screen, Ben Kennedy, in his second game back, wasn't all that involved, nor was Tamana Tahu, apart from the try he scored, and a runaway one it was. He saw very little ball.
Well, speaking of involvement, Bossy, Matt Parsons, the outstanding first half with 18 tackles, 11 hit-ups. Simpson 17 and 11, and Abraham 17 tackles, 7 hit-ups. So some good work rates there by some of their forwards, whilst for Brisbane, Webke with 16 tackles and Carlaw 17 tackles led the way in defence.
Robert Lockyer, that first run of the second half. Newcastle, their first chance to use the breeze. And this is Corey Parker.
Just on Kennedy, Andrew, he's got a problem out there pretty much in the first tackle. Back of the neck there, he's had the trainer out, moving very gingerly as Sean Berrigan looks to slide through, taken by Johns and Gidley. They'll keep a close eye on Kennedy as Tallis takes it close to the 20.
Some real good signs here for Brisbane. They've started like it is 0-0. Lee comes across field, finds Seymour. He finds Lockyer. 25 out for Walker. Walker trying to find that top gear. Kennedy's still not right. De Vere back in field with Lockyer. Long pass there for Seymour. Longer still there for Tallis. He changes the course on the run and loses the football. That is a big let-off for Newcastle. Not quite rattled, but had a few problems there.
Don't lay on him.
Newcastle have proven to be good front runners this year. They've led at half-time on 14 occasions, won 12 of those. But one of the losses was actually against Brisbane, that game you mentioned earlier in the season, Andrew. And, of course, that miracle win by the Bulldogs here a month ago.
Now the Knights 39 metres out. Carl Webb's in a lot of trouble for the Broncos. That was back on the 30-metre line. So Newcastle in possession. Broncos one man down in their defence at the moment. Johns for Simpson, the shortest of passes. Tackled by Berrigan. Quick play the ball. This is the last tackle. Johns gets the kick away. On the sprint is John Morris. Ball doesn't bounce for him. And Carl Webb, that does not look good. That's like a player who will not be returning tonight.
Yeah, I saw him clutching at his left calf. He went down. He couldn't move. He's been helped off the field. And Shane Webke gets to go back on.
The calf injury has become chronic for Carl Webb. So he will go straight to the dressing room. And in the meantime, Brisbane with a scrum feed 10 metres out. Berrigan for Tate. And crossfield and backwards. Away from their line. Webke broke from the scrum. Took the hit up and the pass is called forward. Well, what about this one? 10 metres out from their own line, Webke, and put in the sprint to be there to take the first hit up. Michael De Vere delivered the pass. I've seen worse.
Wayne Bennett looks on with concern, and Sean Rudder very, very wide from the scrum. Look at this. About a 15-20 metre pass just to get the ball out to him.
I'd need a slingshot to get it to him. Rudder's only 5 metres from the line. Kurt Gidley. Ball was knocked out of his hands. I don't think it was play that, though. That will be play on for Brisbane. Well, Newcastle had a let-off when Tallis lost the ball at the other end, and now Brisbane get the let off.
Yeah, he took way too long to pass the football. Stood up, took a couple of steps, and then he was hit.
And this time, Webke gets a legal pass. 29 out from their own line. Lee, Carroll, but to keep that momentum going, they do need the first points of this second half, Brisbane. They start this half 14 down, and Andrew G, typically aggressive hit up. And last tackle, they will kick from inside the 40 with Lockyer, drives this one very low, below head height off the boot. And Anthony Quinn tackled outside the 20, gives us a chance to go to Chief for his half-time report.
Yes, certainly. Mick Harrigan obviously happy with the first half performance, impressed with their front rowers and their performance. You can see a good break there from Matthew Gidley, but he wants them to utilise the Breeze in the second half in particular. He said it's a big mental test. He wants them to play 80 minutes, get ready for that semi-final football. Looks like they're starting off pretty well here with Tamana Tahu making a good break. Also quickly with the Broncos, he said forget the first 30 minutes, but remember the last 10. That's the key. If you can get that and some back-to-back 6-6, they're right in this game. As you see, Carl Webb just come off before there with a leg injury. I'll get the doctor's report very shortly on that one.
Oh, it's Parsons playing it infield with Newton. His tackle again here for Newcastle. And Andrew Johns kicks from the Broncos 40-metre line. He's got Takiri on the chase back. And the chase in turn from Newcastle is outstanding, led by Rudder. And Takiri, when he looked up, he couldn't believe what he saw, just blue and red jumpers. They're a little closer than I think he thought. Tate tackled inside the 10. And this is De Vere. One centre plays it to another. Philip Lee. Take another one for Brisbane. So no forward has yet appeared in this set. Now Tallis gets a touch. He has lost the ball again, although this time it is stripped. And that is late in the count. It is a penalty to Brisbane. The Knights have done well in that set. And the left hand of Clint Newton caught out.
Friendly start. And Jasmine Sinfox, the Knights' treble partner.
So here come the Broncos. 18-0 down at one stage in the first half. Went to the break at 18-4. And now 7 minutes into the second half. Looking to come up with their second try of the match with Parker. Lee, left with Lockyer. Lockyer, second man play there for Tate. He's inside the 10 now. Broncos getting on top. Lockyer's pass. And then a jink and a step from Berrigan. Good defence from Parsons. Able to wrap up his man. And now Lee from dummy half. There was a choice of runners. One of them was Seymour. Seymour tries to squeeze a pass. Not the play. And Bill Harrigan, on closer inspection, confirms that Newcastle have the ball.
Yeah, that's just not being patient with the football there. Brisbane, they're playing quite well in attack in the second half. They're coming back into the match. You're just got to be patient. Get some back-to-back sets. Kennedy takes one up now, gets to the 20.
Andrew Johns. Infield for Tahu. But it has been a very quiet night for his international in the Newcastle side. Parsons.
Matt Parsons has just been outstanding tonight. Charge after charge. He's taking 2 and 3 defenders every time and wearing them down.
Now, Johns' kick was only a fraction over the 40. He managed to get it to the Broncos 20. Very competent performance as always from Andrew Johns as Newcastle concede another penalty. Hearing Andrew Johns and Gordon Tallis talk going into this match, so they both spoke about how much they enjoy this clash every year. Broncos and Newcastle. Gordon Tallis thought it was one of the highlights of the season for him to come down to Newcastle and take on the Knights. As Parker copped a shot and threw a long pass back, which bounced nicely for Webke. Webke thought he was back in the centres there. And now Carlaw just served up the pass for Quinn. And Quinn straight away on the attack for the Knights. He had away. Newcastle, opportunity they weren't expecting. Kennedy Back for Quinn. Quinn now only 15 metres out.
Yeah, Ben Kennedy went the wrong way there. Johns wanted on the outside. They had plenty of troops. One too late now.
Long pass for Rudder. Then Matthew Gidley. Wide out for Morris. Morris has got over. Well, that's too easy for Newcastle. They get their 4th try of the night. It goes back to the Carlaw intercept. And now it's 22 points to 4.
Yes, and Wayne Bennett has every right to be concerned because they should have had that covered. This is Dane Carlaw popping it up. And the young winger Anthony Quinn did very, very well. Now on the previous play they had a similar line, but against less defence. This time the Broncos are there, but they just don't slide well enough or keep coming up. In fact, Takiri kept backing away, eventually giving enough room for the outside Newcastle man to score.
That's a great piece of play by John Morris. He stood up Lottie Takiri, who's got a lot more experience than him, and got round him beautifully. And it all came back from the Carlaw, who seems to be lacking a little bit of confidence. I've seen Dane Carlaw getting into situations like that, just striding through those holes. And that occasion, he simply wanted to pass the ball. The pass went astray, and a couple of tackles later, the Knights over in the corner.
It's a fair feather in the cap for the 22-year-old Morris, utility player. Hadn't played wing in his life before this year. Has just put a little in and away on arguably the #1 winger in the game. Off to Parramatta for the next 3 years. I don't think he'll be playing wing there. And Johns has the sideline conversion. Carlaw's intercept pass, it was as if his brain said, don't pass it, but the hand still did. It was going nowhere. And this to make it 24 points to 4. Johns from the El Masri side of the ground. Johns, like El Masri, has kicked it. Nines Friday night football, and the Knights lead by 20. Second half, 12 minutes old. Nines Friday night football. And that kickoff, Kennedy bounced up into the midriff.
Tackle one down, let him up, ball back to me, fellas.
And on the 20-metre line. Broncos, back-to-back losses coming into this game to the Roosters and the Warriors. And the Knights chasing consecutive victories for the first time in 6 weeks. In just a fortnight after the biggest loss in the history of the club. That was to the Sharks. So neither team would say they're on top of their game at the moment. But it's a nice night to come back. Peden for Andrew Johns. Cut out ball that time for Gidley. There's that pass. There is the trademark goal for Morris. Here they come again. It's Andrew Johns who will score it for Newcastle. What a devastating 2 minutes from the home team. The game in the balance, and Newcastle have gone bang, bang, 2 tries.
And it's one thing to know what your opposition are going to do. It's another thing to stop it. And again, it's this beautiful combination out wide between centre and winger. They come back, flat pass, we freeze it there. You can see that Lottie Takiri has been brought in, and that allows space on the outside. And if the pass is delivered as we continue, and it is, 2-on-1 leads to an overlap. Morris reads it beautifully, comes back in where the defence is. Both Rudder, Andrew Johns was there, Kurt Gidley coming up, and Andrew Johns gets his second for the night.
Oh, some great work. You know, the offload from Josh Perry was a beauty. He was surrounded by 3, and then the hooker took it over the play there, Billy Peden, and out wide. Lottie Takiri just didn't have the confidence in his inside man and Brent Tate to make the tackle on Gidley, so he came in. And there's a saloon passage down there for the winger, wasn't it? In Morris and Andrew Johns backing up. Beautiful Newcastle play. They're back to their best, the Knights. Bit of a slump probably a couple of weeks ago, for a couple of weeks, but my word, they're looking as good as ever now.
2 tries and 6 goals when these two sides met at this ground last year, and tonight he's missed one. Andrew Johns, he's at 2 tries and 4 goals. Paul Harrigan, sideline.
Great try. How good is John Morris? Now, this year he's played halfback, 5'8", lock hooker. He can go from hooker and go out the wing. He's done it. We had 4 or 5 games this year, and he's scored tries every time, and it's been on the back of a Matthew Gidley pass. A great combination. Of course, Andrew Johns is having a wonderful game. I've got some bad news for the Broncos. Carl Webb has torn his calf muscle, and he won't be back out tonight.
And now Brisbane on the restart. They have found touch. They'll get a scrum feed. Oh, this was a close one too. Lockyer's kick. Hard in the mouth stuff from Brisbane. You do play your last cards at 28 points to 4. And the ball was a matter of centimetres in from the touchline. Look at this from Lockyer. Anthony Quinn wasn't able to stop it. As their first try scorer gets ready to come back on, that is Daniel Abraham. Brisbane with Seymour. Berrigan. De Vere. 10 metres out from the line. 5 minutes ago, they're right in the contest and playing well. And then they concede 10 points. So quickly it turns as Sivanasiva will play it. 5 out. Broncos with Berrigan. He's lost it. Oh, gee. One wheel is off and a second one is wobbly right at the moment. Still 25 minutes remaining. 24 points separates the teams. Coming into this game, they're the attacking prowess as Newcastle lose the ball. This will be a try for Brisbane. Tate has picked it up and Tate will score for the Broncos. One drop ball. Is anyone prepared to say they're out of it totally?
Well, Bill Harrigan is going to have a look or send it up to the video referee to see if there's a two-man strip. Matthew Gidley is claiming that that was the case. Simple scrum win. He goes to Sean Berrigan. He goes to Brent Tate. He loses the football. I think Tate has every right to pick that up and run the 15 metres. Score a try that does come in the last couple of minutes completely against the run of play.
I think Peter might have been a one-man strip. When the tackle was made by Berrigan, he pulls the ball out. And for mine, that's fair enough. The ball goes backwards, and then they just pick it up and stroll over.
He's done well, Sean Berrigan, hasn't he? Made the mistake to give the opposition the football and redeemed himself within seconds.
Well, that's the competitor he is. Sean Berrigan. Chris Ward's had a bit of work to do tonight as video referee, and again he comes up with a try decision. This one for the Broncos in front. 28 points to 8 will become 28 points to 10 in just a moment.
And Matthew Gidley will be particularly disappointed with this because he's been strong all night. Just you give this Brisbane side a sniff, even when they're not playing well, they are still capable of hurting you. De Vere keen to get on with things, realising time is running out.
Quiet Newcastle crowd right at the moment as De Vere lines this one up from right in front. Converts their second try of the night. 28 points to 10. Nines Friday night football. Knights over the Broncos.
Here at EnergyAustralia Stadium.
Andrew Johns gets us into the next passage of play. Still the breeze at the back of Newcastle. 18-4 scoreline at half-time. In the space of 17 minutes has become 28-10. This time it is Brisbane's turn to turn it over inside their 20. Points are coming at a rush at the moment. Parsons only 10 away. And here's a penalty. And we've got no doubts they will go for goal with an 18-point lead.
Yeah, must go for goal, and that's a poor penalty in front of your post. Didn't give the referee any other option. And a 20-point lead is much, much better than 18.
This was the lost ball for Shane Webke. No question about that. He got through the first defenders. It was strong work, then lost it in the next tackle. And then Andrew G thought he had a bit of business around the football. And Andrew Johns, easy as they come. Another 2 points, 30 points to 10. Paul Harrigan sideline.
Yeah, just an observation. Even though the Broncos just scored that try not long ago, it does seem to me that the workload, this Broncos pack, they played in the State of Origin together. They played for Australia. It's a really big workload. As I said earlier on, the fact that last year they lost 6 games in a row at this time of the year, I think it's a real lull for them. It's a tough time. They've got a big workload, but maybe this is just that time of the year.
Covering the Knights.
Newcastle look to start again with Perry, who opened the game tonight, giving it his absolute best. others have followed. Parsons has been fantastic, as Fatty has said, and Adam Woolno's been good off the bench as well. Here is Newton.
That's 3.
Run down that short side to the 40-metre line. Parsons back in field.
And a wrap as well tonight for Billy Peden. We all thought Newcastle would struggle without the incumbent test hooker there in Danny Baderis, but he's done a magnificent job. Good service out of dummy half. He's run at the right times and he's defensively good. Beautiful ball to Tahu.
Abraham it was for Tahu. A career best ball, I reckon, from Daniel Abraham. 10 metres out from the line. Beat in for Johns. Johns, that long ball to the right with Rudder. Rudder takes on Berrigan. Offloads for Kurt Gidley. Another pass coming up for Morris. Morris has put the dance on to Keary again, and he is over. John Morris is serving it up to the test and Origin winger Lottie Takiri. 34-10. Thank you.
And what about this ball? This is Ali Lawatiti at his best. But it's Daniel Abraham getting it to Tamana Tahu, and then Newcastle doing what they do best, making teams pay. I'd love to see Sean Rudder get a try tonight because he's been outstanding as well. A real unsung hero, keeping it alive for Kurt Gidley. Gidley realises if he can get it outside to Morris, there was space on the hurdy-gurdy and able to get the ball over the line.
Oh, great skill in this Newcastle team. And Johnny Morris, he's having a night out, isn't he? Heading to Parramatta next year, he'll play hooker there, but he saved the last waltz for Takiri there. Danced around him. Why wouldn't he be celebrating? A great effort. I bumped him in the car park when I got here early tonight to do some research for the game. And I had a chat to John. He's excited about going to Parramatta, and he said he will play hooker there next year.
How is it possible John Morris could only get here 5 minutes before kick-off?
And you bumped him. Andrew Johns has got this one back 25 metres out, a couple of metres in from touch. We're into the last quarter of the match now. And this scoreline delights the Newcastle faithful. They're relishing in this. Putting one over the Broncos, 36-10, Chiefs sideline.
Fatty, doing research, one of your best, mate. Listen, Johnny Morris, I reckon, is the utility of the year. He's a great athlete. Parramatta are very lucky to have him. Got to say also, Sean Rudder, he's playing his 102 first-grade game. He's starting in the 5'8". He loves that, having a big game tonight.
And for John Morris, Bill Peden, Lane of Honour at the end of this game, last regular season match at the EnergyAustralia Stadium. Well, Anthony Quinn has made an absolute mess of that. He thought about catching it, and at the last moment he thought, I'll bat it in field, and then I think maybe at the last moment he thought, I'll catch it again, and then he ended up with it right on his nose.
Yeah, not his finest hour, that one, but I'm sure they won't be too concerned. Although Michael Harrigan probably has got a little bit of a concern tonight as to how they've handled the next set of 6 after they've scored points. We've seen the opposition fine touch, we've seen a mistake in that next set of 6, just dropping the football. And that is an area that you've really got to knuckle down in once you've scored points to make sure your next set is very safe.
There's been a lot of errors inside the 20 over the last 10 or 15 minutes. Berrigan. And there for Seymour. Didn't get a good pass. Lockyer has still been close to perfect tonight. Tate out of dummy half, one of the 2 Broncos try scorers for Lockyer. And then with Brad Myers. Parsons finished off the tackle. Myers had a little look up. Carl Webb out of action for the night, torn calf muscle. It's all bad news at the moment for Brisbane. Sivanasiva will play it right in front of the Newcastle posts with Lee. Runs it up to the line and the Newcastle defence repel another one. They push him back to the 10. Shane Walker for Seymour, and then a stumbling Sean Berrigan held by Abraham. Last tackle. And they have not really tested Newcastle in this set. The last kick was deep. Charging through was Walker. You have to say most un-Brisbane-like in a Brisbane attack that is minus Alan Langer inside an opponent's 20. Comes up empty-handed.
You need to replace the roof, Paul John, at the re-roofing specialist, Newcastle.
Yeah, you're right there, Andrew. One of the great attractions of Alan Langer in this Brisbane side are his plays on the last tackle. Invariably keeps the pressure on by getting the football back from the line drop out. Every now and then putting on the try as well. And they have missed that this week and the last couple.
They attack that left side. Abraham damaging again. De Vere got him low. 21 tackles for Michael De Vere tonight. Last tackle for the Knights. Pete in a dummy half. Andrew Johns. Bit of pressure on him to get that kick away, and just as calm and cool as you like. Finding touch, 5 metres out from the Brisbane line. It may not have been plan A for that kick, but plan B was just as good. Broncos players unavailable going into tonight. And Michael Ryan, the hooker. Ben Eichen has been out all year. Casey Maguire with that rib problem. Scott Prince. Alan Langer. And you can add Carl Webb to that. Harrigan working this scrum. And Michael De Vere takes the hit up. The tackle count for Michael De Vere has him third behind G and Webke. Webke topped the tackle count last week against the Warriors as well. Brisbane 25 from their own line. Ready to Keary. He's going backwards. He's linked up with Parker. And front on the tackle there of Tahu. Walker. Knights don't have the ball at the moment, and the crowd's not that interested. They just want Newcastle to come home with points. But their defence at the moment is every bit as good as their attack. Lee jinking out a dummy half. Seymour. Now they try and spread wide. Lockyer just batted it on. Passed on there from Tate for Takiri. Takiri forced back infield. This is superb from Newcastle if they hold them here. Meyer slips it out the back. It's touched on there to Sivanasiva. He'll try and keep it alive on the 40. He does do that. Got it back for Webke. They've only made 10 metres on this play. And Webke is tackled by Andrew Johns. Darren Lockyer tries that short kick off the left boot. And Perry is there in a region you could call no man's land, able to cover up the ball. And again, it's on here. Well, what sparked this fat man?
Well, Chris Walker tackled Josh Perry, and all of a sudden there were elbows going everywhere from Josh Perry.
Magnificent Horizon Golf Resorts, where you can play golf and not box. Enjoy 4.5-star accommodation over the championship golf course. The full buffet breakfast, 18 holes of golf.
Judge was straight on.
Penalties to Newcastle. You got any players you want to speak to or not? Penalty is against Brisbane, coming in second man, holding down.
So not much to it in the end. Bill Harrigan offered the touch judge a chance to call out a player, and he declined that opportunity. Just a little bit of Broncos frustration. Bottom line, Newcastle will go on the attack inside the Brisbane half. 6-3 penalty count tonight for the Newcastle side. Andrew Johns going with Rudder. This looks promising. Kurt Gidley got away from Tate with a fend. And they're only 21 metres away. The Newcastle Knights already 36 points on the board. 6 tries tonight. Their captain has 2. John Morris has 2. Andrew Johns switches the play. Broncos intercept Shane Walker. Well, he had the Newcastle playbook. He saw it coming. Now Takiri. Takiri down the left side. Got away from Woolno. Gets away from Kurt Gidley. Ankle tap. Now stumbles. Takiri. He's there. Oh, he's lost the ball. Oh, what about that for a moment in this match? The game might be long gone, but you'll remember that.
Can you believe it? It's a great passage of play. Turned his back to throw the football. Shane Walker picked it and away they went. Then the ball got to Takiri. He had 60 metres on the fly. Woolno chased. And then Kurt Gidley ankle taps. He's just got to get up now, Takiri, and dive over. But Matt Gidley comes from nowhere. He slips again. He's just not destined to score a try. He can still get it down though. Kenny. No. Well, that was knocked out, I thought, by Gidley.
Oh boy, what about that? It's just about the greatest ankle tap of all time from Kurt Gidley. Lottie Takiri was 7 metres past him. And somehow he got the palm of his hand to the toe of Takiri's long stride.
What about when he's trying to start the motorbike? He's trying to get it going. Wasn't happening.
It hasn't been a great night for Lottie, it must be said. That's play on for Tahu. That was off the boot. Newcastle come again. He passes for Bailey. Bailey keeps it alive for Quinn. Bailey's lost half his jumper. He's only been on a minute. Andrew Johns, long ball, Rudder. Wanted Woolmo on the inside, didn't get it. Andrew Johns comes back, keeps it alive. Here is Kurt Gidley. Berrigan, and still no one wants to be tackled. Adam Woolmo, 10 out, last tackle. Where will the kick come from? It will be Andrew Johns. He just tries to get it to the in goal, but you've got to beat the best in the business. Lockyer was there, and Brisbane are back with the ball.
Chris Walker in 18 will be Andrew G.
End up there in the tackle of Bailey. Oh, new jumper, quick smart. The last run, half of it was draped down his side. So Brisbane, some more crossfield running here from Philip Lee. Wipke doesn't look all that flash. Brisbane on their 40. 11 minutes remaining. Nine's Friday night football. Last tackle here with Lockyer. What's he thinking? Oh, boy, gee. What has happened there? Brent Tate got a pass around his ankles and then tried to produce a World Cup soccer play. It all ended up a little embarrassing here for Brisbane. I don't know what you call that. Combine that with Lottie's slip and slide short of the try line. Even the internationals in the game can have nights like this. Working to the bench. Chief will check on his well-being. Andrew Johns fires it out for Kennedy. Kennedy around the corner. Ball was knocked down. It'll be play on again with Kurt Gidley. Kurt Gidley will take on Lockyer. Kurt Gidley right in the corner. Flicked it out the back. Play on for Newcastle. Still there. And over the sideline. Plenty of traffic on just a few blades of grass there.
It's still fast and frantic, isn't it? Kurt Gidley's been wonderful tonight. He's a tremendous support player. Gets the ball back inside. Quinn couldn't get it. Tahu couldn't get the ball over. And eventually a couple of Brisbane defenders get the job done.
He has played well again, Kurt Gidley. Got our man of the match here a couple of weeks ago. Was it playing 5'8"? And he's playing fullback tonight. So his versatility is to the fore as well. And he's also acted tonight from fullback as a link man up in the line. He's been terrific.
The match against the Dragons it was. As Lottie Takiri tackled. 15 out. Broncos one interchange going into this final 9 minutes. Well and truly gone on the board. 36-10. Second straight year really wiped out here in Newcastle. Sivanasiva. Really the way the game was going, you just didn't see this coming. At 18 points to 4 at half-time. Brisbane had played well going into the break. Tate. Contained by Andrew Johns. Darren Lockyer and Andrew G. And Newcastle, Michael Harrigan, happy with the 36 points, but thrilled with some of the defence of his team tonight. Darren Lockyer. There was that kick downfield that Kurt Gidley has. The wind really hasn't been a factor in the game as it's turned out. It was howling here early. Doesn't appear to have had any bearing on the points that have been scored. John Morris has 2 4-pointers next to his name, and both of them he took on Lottie Takiri and scored. Now Quinn. Knights going into this game on 34 points, 1 behind the Broncos. Andrew Johns fires a ball out, put down by Tahu. In turn knocked on by Seymour. We will break in 9th Friday night football. 36 points to 10. 7 minutes remaining here in Newcastle. Healthy crowd again tonight. The locals have enjoyed this. An exhibition from their team. Lockyer kicks on the first for Takiri. Here's a foot race. Takiri and Morris. And again, Morris has to say, I gotcha. Ball goes over the sideline.
Yeah, it's come off Takiri as well. Darren Lockyer. It's been a frustrating night for him. He's played very well, but not much has gone right for his team. And even this kick, heading towards the sideline when it looked like Takiri might have had an opportunity.
Broncos the next 2 weeks. It's that crowd figure 18,601. Broncos to face Canberra next week at home. And Bulldogs in the last round at the showground. And you reckon after the events of the past week and the loss of 37 competition points for the Bulldogs, pending that appeal being dismissed, of course, that will be a grand final for them. That's their swan song for the season. And despite the fact the Bulldogs out of contention if they lose the points, I still think that'll be as big a game as we've had this year. And the Newcastle Knights, on the other hand, their run home over the next 2 weeks, matches against Penrith and against the Dragons, both away from home. The Knights with Morris. He's full of confidence, John Morris. Now the chip over the top. It's play on with the Knights. The ball is flicked out the back. I think that was Bailey. Newcastle are going to get another. Matthew Gidley finishes it off. We may just go off to the video referee to check it. No, Bill Harrigan says you can pay on that one. It's another try. And they have reached 40 points.
And this is not far out before the quarterfinals begin. Not the kind of scoreline you want against you. And John Morris, this is confidence. Kurt Gidley again doing very well. Tremendous evasion. Morris creates something out of nothing. The little chip over the top. Goes to tackle the man, to take the football, flick pass from Bailey, and then Matt Gidley. He had Kurt, his brother, on the inside, but no, I'm close enough. I'll get it.
Yeah, nice finish. And Lotta Takiri, just watch him. He simply takes himself out of play there, didn't turn and chase. And Julian Bailey's been good since he's been on as well. And Brisbane, well, hasn't been their best night at all. Looks like Billy Peet is having a kick in his last ever game at EnergyAustralia Stadium.
Well, that's unofficially, of course, although they will be here in a few weeks.
Yeah, of course, in the semi-finals, yeah. But he'll be doing a lap of honour in about 5 minutes. Let's see if he can bring home the bacon with this kick. He's 5 minutes in from touch.
He's got plenty in his career. He's not going to get one tonight, though. Bill Peeten, unsuccessful with that kick. 40 points to 10, 4 remaining. 18-4 it was at half-time. A real blowout in the second half. Don't forget the footy show next Thursday night. All the fallout, the follow-up to the Bulldogs story. That news today, they've been issued with a breach notice, a penalty of 37 competition points. All their points won this season. And a $500,000 fine. News also late this afternoon, the Bulldogs board, the football club board resigning. And all those details later tonight in Nightline to catch up on the full story. But just a momentous week for rugby league, and what a decision the board had to make today.
And it is another sad day coming with the retirement of Billy Peeten. And Chief, what has a guy like Peeten meant to this club over the many years he's been here?
I think he typifies what Newcastle's all about. He's a local bloke who had come from Cessnock and come through the ranks. He played reserve grade for a while, and a lot of people didn't know him, but my Billy Peeten is now the club captain. He's played in 2 grand finals, and look, he's done it from pretty well from the back blocks here at the Coalfields. We love Billy Peeten. He's had a wonderful year, and it's just good to see the Newcastle Knights tonight post a good score in the first half and go on with it, because that's what you need going into the semi-finals.
Newcastle, they'll try everything here. Quinn's kick back infield, and it's Peeten who catches the ball. Brisbane not in on the celebrations. Walker makes the tackle. Well, that would have been something to finish off with in his 185th first grade match for that lad that Chief spoke of from Cessnock. The kick from Quinn. It's Bretnell to Gearin. Brisbane held up. 19 out from their own line. 3rd straight loss. This close to the finals. It's been top quality opposition the last 3 weeks, all top 4 sides. Well, certainly top 8 sides. The Roosters the first of those losses, then the Warriors, then the Dogs. Another match in the race for this 8 on Sunday we will cover. Eels and Eagles from 4 o'clock at Parramatta Stadium. Drop ball there from Walker. Play on the call from Bill Harrigan. Everyone just check with the referee. And Brisbane on the last tackle on their 40. Shane Walker, Rabbitoh bound, 1 of 2 in this Brisbane side. Lockyer gets away. Steely has had a great game tonight, and then the pass over the head of Lottie Takiri. Lottie Takiri has just dished it up inside. Newcastle on the attack, and time for one more try tonight. 44-0 it was here last year at the ground between the two sides. Kurt Gidley. 32 away from the line. Infield with Peden. And handled in the tackle over the top there of Myers. Now Kurt Gidley for Andrew Johns. Wide pass for Rudder. Strong run again. Well, he's got his confidence back. Gets it around the corner. Fielded by Quinn, playing in the centres. Quinn comes back in field. They call him the mini truck. And he picked up a load on his way through almost to the goal line. Adam Woolnough, a dummy half. Andrew Johns. Can he test them again? Intercept pass, and again it's Shane Walker who's on the end of that ball. Second time in the half. Broncos on their 10. Final 60 seconds of this match. Brad Myers. Walker. And Parker. Some of the real hard workers in this Broncos side tonight. Webke has topped the tackle count. 26. Charge down here. Myers has to dive on the ball. And this will be an anti-climax to finish the match. There'll be no time for the scrum to pack down. The boys are already shaking hands. The crowd applies the count. And it is very much a count of boxing type tonight for the Broncos. Down and out. Third straight loss. 40 points to 10. Newcastle take the cash. 7 tries to 2. A big performance. 3 weeks out from the finals. Newcastle returned to form after their win last week over the Eagles. So Nine's Friday night football. Newcastle 40 have defeated the Brisbane Broncos 10. In a moment, Peter will be back after the break to wrap the match up. And of course, Chief Paul Harrigan will have our Nutrigrain Iron Man of the match.
After a tumultuous week, the headlines tomorrow much more flattering for our game, with the Newcastle Knights 40 defeating the Brisbane Broncos 10. John Morris and Andrew Johns got doubles. Abraham, Tahu and Matt Gidley scored. Andrew Johns a 20-point haul for him with 6 from 7. Billy Peden missed with his only attempt, while for Brisbane, their 4-pointers from Seymour and Tate. Michael DeVere 1 from 2. Some games it seems a shame to have to pick one player from a quality team performance. The man we opted for tonight as man of the match is with Paul Harrigan.
Well, thanks very much, Pete. The Nutrigrain man of the match goes to Matty Parsons. And Matty, wonderful performance tonight. It does guarantee you guys a home semi-final. But the platform yourself and Josh Perry set up, you must be pleased with that. The go forward was great.
Yeah, whenever you play Brisbane, you've always got to aim up in the front row with the guys they got playing there. And we spoke about it all week, and I thought Adam Woolnough done a good job there for a young bloke off the bench too. So we're very pleasing to play that way tonight.
Another part of the game that would have been pleasing, the fact that you got a big victory or a big score in the first half, went on with the job in the second half. Good for the semi-finals coming up.
Yeah, some people have got this idea in mind that we crashed in the second half, but I think it's only happened on a couple of occasions, but that's what everyone remembers. We're a pretty strong team, and we just want to stick together and do the best we can.
Mate, and what about tonight? A big crowd, the old boys usher you guys out on the field, a special occasion, but Billy Peden, there's probably no one else you'd rather stand in the defence line in protecting your own try line than Billy Peden. He's one of the greats for Newcastle.
Oh, mate, Joey's the people's champ, and Billy must be very close to Newcastle. He's got to be very close. I mean, he's the heart and soul of this team, and we're really going to miss him next year.
Mate, well said. Congratulations. There's the money there from Nutrigrain. Enjoy that.
Thanks, Channel 9 and Nutrigrain.
Well done, mate. Thank you.
Yeah, the Knights would not swap him for any other number 10 in the game. Now tonight, just the first of a number of important clashes this weekend in the NRL. Tomorrow, the Tigers take on the Storm. They're in the top 8 at the moment at Leichhardt. Then the Rabbitohs up against the Panthers. That's been moved to North Power Stadium. The Sharks, a long winning run. That looks set to continue against the Cowboys at Toyota. And on Sunday, a beauty. The Roosters up against the Warriors at Aussie Stadium. And then the Raiders take on the Bulldogs. That is down in the National Capital. Tomorrow night, the first of 6 great nights of swimming action with the 2002 Pan Pacific Championships live from Yokohama in Japan. That's from 7 p.m. And then on Sunday, 9 Sunday football out to Parramatta Stadium. A must-win game for the Parramatta Eels. They take on the Northern Eagles. You'll see that from 4 o'clock. Next Tuesday, Leighton Hewitt will be the #1 seed in this year's US Open Tennis Championship from Flushing Meadows in New York. You'll see that from 1 a.m. live on Tuesday. And then on Thursday night, well, unfortunately, the Bulldog saga, it does continue. We'll have a look at the aftermath on the footy show. That too is live from 9:30 p.m. And then the following night, to kick off round 25, the Bulldogs up against the Melbourne Storm. That's from 8:30 p.m. from the Sydney Showground. And just on the Canterbury Club, don't forget all the latest news concerning the Bulldogs follows very shortly on Nightline, not to be missed. But tonight, a tremendous performance, vintage Newcastle, 40 points to 10 over the Brisbane Broncos in front of a wonderful crowd here at Energy Australia. Thanks for your company tonight. Until we do it again, on behalf of our crew, we wish you a very good night.
Running hot, been a week away from the game we play. You can hide or fake it here. No, no. Friday's right for a Friday night of football. Friday's right for a Friday night of football. Friday's right for a Friday night of football.
This has been another presentation from Nine's Wide World of Sports. Friday Night Football, brought to you by Holden, Telstra, the Navy, Army and Air Force, Amy, Victoria Bitter, KFC and Duracell.